Today's episode is with Matt Hollamby. Matt is a guide and operations manager for the Canadian Rockies Experience based here in Canmore, Alberta. He's also a former middle distance runner, and he was on the cusp of making it to the Olympic level within Great Britain. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out for him, but what did pan out thereafter was an incredible trip that he decided to take backpacking through Afghanistan, Turkmenistan and Pakistan. It was a really cool conversation that we have with someone who has a very introspective look on a life of meaning and purpose and trying to find peace within it. Also, a big thank you to those of you who already subscribed to the show. And for those of you who are new here, the best way to support the podcast is by subscribing. Now, on to the episode. So Andy was telling me you've got your background, like when you were younger, was like long distance running.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. So quite a high level, I would say. Kind of come out by accident, really. So I was always like, I'd say a bit of a troubled kid growing up. And then I remember it was like I was about 12 or 13 years old. Like every sports day, I wouldn't really care about stuff. But then this one year, one of my friends sort of bet, oh, you couldn't beat this guy. And there was a guy who was like just doing the 1500 meters and the 800 meters, held the record as he went through the different grades or years at school and stuff. And I think it was like year 8 or 9. And then I got bet, I bet you couldn't beat him. So I thought, okay. And I loved, like, I was that kid who was quite easily influenced, like, I bet you can't do this or that. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I did like a fair bit of training for it, like just running, no like structure or anything like that. And then turned up on the sports day in the 1500 and like crushed it, broke the school record in like year 8 or 9. I thought, wow. And I didn't really think much of it then, but then this sixth former, who was like obviously a lot older, ran for Tunbridge Athletic Club. And he like approached me like in the playground after and said, you know, that was really quite something. You need to come along to Tunbridge Athletic Club and, you know, try it out. And he was like a school prefect, really like, and I was a bit of a rebel at that time. And I was like, oh, you know what, give it a go. And then, yeah, ended up joining Tunbridge Athletic Club and really enjoyed it because it was a solo thing. I was never like, I would participate in team sports, but I was kind of just like, I didn't like the conformity of it. I liked doing my own thing, like this solo, and having a track where I was running against other people was just one of the best feelings. And I ended up being pretty good at it. Sort of like, yeah, into schools, Kent, county, and then nationals, ran for England a few times and stuff, which was really, really cool. Missed out on GB squad when I was a bit older, which now I look back on it really affected a lot of things that happened. Like I fell off the rails a bit, but like I have my granddad who was probably my like closest thing, to an actual dad for me. Like my parents, I'm like quite, I'm friendly with, but it was never that close bond. My granddad was like always the one I went to. And he supported me through my running career. And was just, yeah, super supportive. And then like to qualify for the GB squad. So we had a Tunbridge Athletic Club, Dame Kelly Holmes, who obviously won double gold in Sydney 2000. She brought back the medals and we had a stacked field of like athletes in different disciplines and stuff. So we were all like super like inspired by that. And 2004, which was Athens, I think it was like coming up. So we're all like trying to, you know, see who could potentially qualify and stuff. And like the 1500 meters was my bag. That was the one I sort of wanted to hit. And like the qualifying period was, you had to hit a time in a certain like qualifying period to qualify for GB squad, which I think was like 3:36 or 3:37 for the 1500 meters. And I hit a 3:37 a couple months before the qualifying period. So like super fast, it's like a county race or whatever. But in the qualifying period, I had one race at Crystal Palace and I did a 3:40 or 3:39, 3:40. So missed it. That hit me really, really hard after that. I kind of did loads of stuff, won a load of different events. And then after that, kind of fell off the rails a bit. I think like there was a couple of years where I gave up running. I literally just jacked it in, wanted to do something else, got into a bit of trouble, all this kind of stuff. And then started to like turn it round when I was like in my 20s, I think, sort of, you know, with work, discipline, a bit more structure, started like finding a bit of love for running again, like with sort of half marathons and things like that, slowly sort of building up. But it took a different meaning. I think at that point, at that point, I beat myself up with stuff, still do. So like if I see stuff as a failure or anything like that, I kind of just, really take it on personally, and go inward. So it's like really hard to get over, and it's taken years to like direct that a different way, into something else. And that kind of led into like half marathons, and I did them all around Europe, like the traveling side of things, just solo on my own. It wasn't about like recognition or anything like that. It was just about exploring, finding myself more and more. But again, that didn't kind of give me that fulfillment of what inside, that sort of meaningful feeling again. And it was only when I sort of went traveling and stuff like that, came back and then thought, seeing stuff on the other side of the world of people who don't have much, but have so much more than what we have as well. And like, I'll get into that in a bit, I think, but like that led me into doing harder things for charity. So I was like heavily involved with Teenage Cancer Trust and hospices. And I would put myself in really hard positions of like going up Snowdon with like 80 kilos on your back or whatever, and then just solo, like, but raising money at the same time. So that gave me a sense of feeling, but also the challenge of doing some of these city triathlons and things like that I'd make up was like putting myself in real discomfort and hardship, but mentally pushing through, but also being fully connected to, and it was always in mountainous regions. Anything I did was generally like hard terrain and stuff. So being alone in those sort of areas really connected me to the ground, to myself, and it really gave me a lot of presence and knowing myself more. And I think that was so important, and that's what led me into the ultras and stuff like that, and going further and further with races, because it really, finding myself and what the meaning is. Like a lot of people will run ultras for, you got some like Kylian Jornet and people like that who are just like insane athletes that do these crazy times and things like that. But I think for me, an ultra is more finding out who I am as much as possible, and more so like putting yourself in discomfort, but also being fully connected to the land and, the surroundings, your senses, everything like that. You get this, people call it runner's high, but like when you get like over mile 50 or 60, you can hallucinate. Like I was on the Isle of Skye doing one, and it was quite a big race, and like me and this one guy kept passing each other, like every few miles or whatever. And at one point I was going, "Come on, Rufus, let's go. And that's my dog's name.
I thought it was a guy.
No. So like, and he's like coming out and he's like, "So who's Rufus?" And I can picture it now. Like obviously he wasn't there, but I can picture it now. He was there with me. So it's like your mind does these really surreal things. So that's like, really bizarre, but pushing yourself to these like limits physically, but it's mental. It's a mental battle, but I find peace in it. That's what it really comes down to, is like peace is so valuable for me, and like where I think happiness is, because that's, I think what everyone's kind of chasing is meaningness, like meaningfulness, happiness, peace. And I think it's all there with hardship, because like I find everything now, like say with phones and everything, we're like overfed, overstimulated, over everything here. We kind of lose that thing at the moment where I think a lot of people are like struggling like mentally with things, and it's because we're forgetting what it is to be human, I think. And that's where I think I've been chasing a lot of this from a young age, from childhood troubles and things like that, and finding myself different things, and it's all connected. And it's like a bit of a journey, I think. But
it sounds like running's kind of a pivotal part, like the theme throughout the journey.
Yeah, I think so.
If you don't mind me asking, like when you say troubles when you're a kid, you just mean like, not to get too personal, if you don't want to talk about it. Yeah. But like, what do you mean with trouble? Just being a rough little kid?
Yeah, a little bit. I'd say like at school, it's just rebellious. I think I had a bit of a tough childhood growing up, I think. Not to make excuses for that, because I believe my actions are my own and it's my responsibility. But like, things shape you and change you. So I got into, bit of trouble at school and stuff like that. Outside of school, wrong crowd, especially after I was going to call it the GB failing. So, but I should not call it negative. Exactly. Yeah. It's a different thing now. I look at it as an understanding and a learning, but, I think like falling off from that, I was just in a bit of trouble,
And do you think going from like having a little bit of a troubled background to being good at running,
mm-hmm.
do you think, how close to the GB thing were you? Was it?
Well, the qualifying period was like, say, it's if I remember this right, probably look it up. It's like 3:36 to 3:38 for 1,500 meters.
Yeah.
And you have to do it in a qualifying period. Now, I did a 3:37, but outside the qualifying period, but then during, which is like a certain event, it has to be. Right, so like they'll put up events, because they have certain timekeepers, tracks and things like that. So it has to be like pretty well managed. So yeah, that was, but it's like seconds and it's the timing. So I think what it taught me is, and the UK at that time had stacked middle distance runners all across board, county level, everything like that. We're all very, very close in time. So it's not like I would say I was like up here and everyone else was like, everyone was so, so good. And the guy who won it, I think, what's his name? Something East, Mike East, I think it was. He was at the Athens final and he did a 3:36 in the final. So you're only talking seconds, and he was sixth place, I think fifth or sixth place. I remember it.
That's crazy.
And you're just looking, going, wow, I'm like 1 or 2 seconds. And over 3 3/4 laps, you're like, you think it's nothing, but like at that, and it is nothing when you think, oh, it's just a second. But when you're running those sort of speeds and kilometers and stuff, it's like, it's so hard to get like the times down. Because when I started early on, like your times would drop quickly. Your 815, 5 or 10,000, I'd slowly get better and better PBs. And then you hit this point and then you're like, you might move milliseconds or stuff like that. And it was so, so hard. But yeah, I think it's always been like a part of me in that. And I put a lot of it down to my coach, like Mike Rowbottom, who was a bit of a legend in middle distance running back in the 50s and 60s. He was like, there's like these legend stories. He was apparently, I don't know this for fact, the first man to unofficially run the 4-minute mile before Roger Bannister.
Okay.
So that was the kind of story around the athletic club. He was very coy about it. And I guess if it's not officially tracked, who knows? But he would always like do crazy training with us. Although I really respect it now. He'd drive behind us in a car for hill sprints and just hold his car at a very slow, whatever speed, but he wouldn't stop. So if we were stopping, we'd hit the car.
Yeah.
And he just had this determination of keeping going. Of his way of wording it was like, keeping you like scared about the danger behind you keeps you going.
That's a very real thing.
It is. Yeah.
I feel like you can do that these days. Like, you imagine you saw like
absolutely
a running club in the UK, kids run up behind a car very slowly behind them, you'd be like, child abuse.
Yeah.
But back then it would just be the norm.
It was just a way, and it was very like loose, but his methods, like I think growing up at that time as well, it was like we were training probably 4 or 5 times a week hard, I would think, like whether different things with, sprint training, longer distance, a long run we would do at least once a week. And I think that built me, that built the character, I think, and made me fall in love with running, because it was just like, a lot of people see running as like a love or hate, a punishment, or you love it. But I don't know. I just found it like escapism, peace, and that just me and, there's no excuses. It's just, and I find this with solo things, it's like there's nothing to fall back on. It's just me against me. Mm-hmm. That's it, or a stopwatch or whatever at that time. But I think that's really important. It just clears away the noise of everything else. Like I never used to like the big events. I used to like, every time I was a bit of a target for people, I think, in some of the like county races and stuff, because I think people probably see it as cocky, but I would just be very trying to relax. I'd have like wired headphones at that point, or like a mini disc player or whatever it was then.
CD player.
Yeah, probably. And like I would just be trying to relax. I would zone out. I wouldn't acknowledge other people until after the race, which some people might think is rude and stuff, but I was just trying to, it was just me against me. I didn't care who was on the track. It was like, right, if I'm going to hit this and win this race and stuff, it was all a lot of people play a lot of mind games and stuff like that, I think. And especially as a young, like, teenage kid, everyone's got ego and bravado and stuff. So I just wanted to clear that out, because if I got wrapped up in that, which I did a few times, I wouldn't perform.
Yeah.
I wouldn't perform at all. I'd be worried about them. And then my mind's gone, rather than just focusing on that track in front of me. And I used to get awful butterflies all the time. So it'd be a way of like just channeling it out. But as soon as I started running, that's it. It all just went away, and that was it. It's kind of freedom.
Yeah. I did not in anywhere near the level you did. That's what I did when I grew up. I did running as well, like track and field and stuff.
Nice.
But, and the reason I'm saying that is because to remember my own experience of it, hearing you say that, it's really impressive, because I was not like that. Like, I was not like a young kid, like teenager, like channeling my mind. I
don't think I knew it at the time.
Yeah, it's weird.
You kind of just do your own thing. But now I look back on it, I know what I was doing, because I feel now I really know myself. And I don't know, certain things click and you remember certain moments, and you just, I don't know, it makes sense now, which is nice, because at times you think it doesn't make sense. You can't understand why something happened as it did.
And then, so to go, like, kind of have like being a rebellious young man, to like getting running, which it sounds like it maybe kind of gave you a bit of a direction to get to the GP. And then when you realize, when the GP situation doesn't, like, you don't make the cut, I guess is the easiest way of putting it.
Basically, that's as harsh as it is. If you don't hit it in the qualifying period, that's it.
And how did you, like, how was that moment? Was that pretty brutal? Because it kind of gives you a direction, and then the direction just like, nah.
Knowing I hit the time before the qualifying period in I can't remember where it was now, like Crystal Palace Stadium or something, the Rose Stadium, I think it was. I hit a time, and I was like, I probably took not my foot off the gas, but like, I've got it. I've done I can do this. So I probably put more pressure on myself, but ultimately I just didn't perform on the day. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, there's so many factors you could put it down to, of like, what did I eat that day? Or, you know, how was I feeling? Was my central nervous system woken up? Did I warm up properly? Did I get everything all firing on cylinders? Did I tie my spikes the right way? You know, there's like, you could go over a million things, and I did that for a long time, I think. And I saw it as a massive failure, like for a few years. I think it was huge.
And did you just stop, like, after you didn't make the cut, did you like abruptly stop?
Just quit.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I literally stopped. I left the running club.
Like that? Just like
very quickly after. Wow. I did like, I went away from track, and I started like, I still went to training a couple of times, but I went into like doing triple jump and long jump. I just didn't want to be on the track. So I was just doing my own thing, and then I just fell out of love with it. And it was just kind of went deep inside and kind of beat myself up is basically what happened.
Sorry. I was going to say, why do you think you had such an abrupt stop, you know, and didn't take it as I probably would have done the same as you, by the way. So I'm not saying this as if I would have done any different, but it's like, why, when you were so close, what made you not just be like, okay, I'll keep going, because then the next competition or something may come up? Like, how come it was just like, why do you think you had such an abrupt stop with it?
It's a good question. Like, at the time, I remember beating myself up and thinking I was a failure. And I think with other things going on, with life and things, I think it would have been, I always remember, like, I think it was my dad said to me, he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Forget it. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, it does matter. And it really mattered.
Do you know why it mattered to you?
I think part of it at that age would have been to make my parents proud. I think from being like, you know, a bit of rebellious, bit of trouble, getting into stuff like that, to do something. But now I look back on it, like, to do what I did to get to national level and run for England, not Commonwealth or anything like that, but like, you know, you do like inter-country events and stuff. But I look back on it and I'm like, I am proud of it. But at the time, it was probably more to make them proud. But also, I knew I put so much work in. So much work. And I look back on that now as like, I did really, that's probably like the hardest thing I've trained for. Not specifically for that, but that whole time, just the running in general, the weekly training regime, which was at that time just for county level or stuff like that, or inter-club championships and things like that. You were just so dialed in. And it felt like a big it just felt like a big failure, and it's, you change in like adolescent sort of years as well. So things kind of change a bit and your mind goes elsewhere, priorities. You kind of think, stuff it. It was I kind of just blocked it out, which I've done for many years with many things. Like just block it. And then obviously that doesn't deal with it. So you have to talk through stuff and, work it through yourself. Like
that's something I have learned as I've got older. Yeah. It's like, I realize I used to have, I think my cue for realizing that I wasn't dealing with something was when I said, I don't care. Yeah. The amount of times I'd say to myself, I don't even care. And then I realized what that cue was for me in my mind. It was like, you do care, but you're just like blocking it. Whereas now, the thought will still come up in my mind where I say I don't care, but now I'm like, I'm like, evidently you've got some negative emotion towards whatever this thing is. Like, yes. Try and, and now I say, it's not that I don't care, I'm just letting it go. I'm just letting this thing go to try and, get past it. But I would assume that for you at that point in time, I mean, it sounds like running and being a runner was probably like your identity at that time.
It was.
Yeah.
Especially then, like,
so it must be hard. That must in itself have been hard to then let go of that.
Yeah.
And find a new one.
Yeah. And I didn't really find anything, I did I went to college and stuff, but I wasn't really interested in it. So I'd always be like missing it. I'd be out skateboarding or whatever. I was just wanting to do. It's that I know it now. It's escapism. It's finding something where I'm just like, escaping. So that was like, a difficult moment. I think it changed who I was, massively. I think at that point. But
I was going to say, I think at that age as well, you're just trying to find an identity. I mean, I was the same. I did it in other ways, like, but similar thing, like I did running and then, I did the party thing and I think at that age you're just trying to find an identity. So then to have such a core one that you have and then let that go pretty much entirely in a short span of time.
I think like I felt like I not missed out because I don't like phrasing it like that because I gained so much from it. But like a normal kid growing up, like in early teenage years, you'd be out with your friends a lot more and things like that and doing bits and pieces. And it just wasn't, it was all in. And I don't think like anyone forced that on me either. You get some people like the parents like, right, you're going to do this, and they're taking to every sport and almost living their life through the kids. And it's like, I didn't have that. That's for sure. And it was just more, I've probably got quite a, what's the word? Not obsessive, but like addictive personality. So I think when I find something like that I love to do and I love the pain of it and everything, it was great. It was just, so I think that played a big part in it. No one had to force me to do it. It wasn't like, I'm good at it, but I'm just being forced to do it. It was no, I'm going. And I'd always want to do more. That was the thing. But my coach was very much, no, you've done enough. And you just, it's a strange time, but he was a good mentor. And I think he kept me very focused. My coach and my granddad, I think, was like super on it and invested. He was a timekeeper at Dartford Running Club and stuff, so he was very much invested in the whole thing, which was like...
Your grandfather was?
Yeah. So he was like a real part of that. I can always see it, like some laps he would like, if he wasn't timekeeping, and just see him like run down to the thing and like, you gotta go, like this kind of stuff. And I always remember those. Nice memories.
And then, so you end up letting go of that though, like letting go of the running. And what I know, something that you did next, but what did you do immediately after that? Did you immediately go traveling, or
wasn't straight away? No, that had been, Athens thing was 2004. So probably a few years after, maybe 2007 or 8. I got myself like sort of a job and structure and things like that, but just felt I was missing meaning.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. So I pretty much quietly in between jobs, left my job, went traveling. Went over to Pakistan, and my goal was Turkmenistan. They got a place called the Gates of Hell. It's this old opening in the ground. It's like I guess it's Soviet time, like whole gas exploration type thing. And it's basically a hole that's been on fire for like 50 or 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's just burning gas, basically. Natural gas underneath. So it's like a...
Well, and this is a really dumb question, but did someone like light it 50 years ago and it's just been burning?
I actually don't know. I think it's just a natural thing where they probably had old... I'm no expert in gas, so I'm like... But it's a real standard feature. It's called the Gates of Hell. So, travelled over to Islamabad eventually. So from Holland to Islamabad, and then just worked our way through. Had one guy that came with me, but only for part of the journey. And then just spent time just like some hiking, some in vehicles, walking up and, down mountains and just working our way through. So like bordering Afghanistan, just touched on the top of that. Surreal place, but I think I found a lot of meaning there. Yeah. Like just that period of time. I mean, like if you were to drive from A to B, it'd probably take a couple of days, but so it's there for like 2 or 3 weeks in the end. Spent time with like Turkmen elders and some Afghan elders. So there was like some people spoke English. There was some people translated, like the Pashtun and Dari, I think the languages over there. There's many different. But you felt you were being honoured to be there at that time. So like, when you'd sit down to eat on the floor, you'd have like goat. Goat is massive over there, like goat and flatbreads and rices and stuff. But, the elders would eat first, but they would always give you like the best bits and things like that. And it was also like welcoming. And like the big thing I took away from that and being over in those areas, and spent a bit of time in Vietnam and Cambodia with my now wife as well. And it was a similar feeling there of people not having much, but having so much. And I think that was massive for me, of taking that away, of like, they don't have any, much possessions, but the wealth of knowledge, the peacefulness, the stillness, everything's done slowly.
Yeah.
Nothing's rushed. You go out for a meal now, it's whatever it is. Our whole lifestyle in the West is rush, next thing. Or if like the job I had in the UK before moving here, it was so high pressured and things like that. And I look back on it now and I'm like, what was that for? Like, it's good in a way, but like it builds a bit of character to all these different people. But ultimately, what meaning did that give to me? And I'm like, I chase those things that give me meaning, and that's where stillness, peacefulness, and just having that. There was one moment we were in, very north. Borders up there are like super weird.
Yeah, it's not. It's like officially.
No, like now I'd imagine it's a lot harder with like visas and things like that and traveling. But back then it was very open, I would say.
This is 2004 or 2005?
No, 7 or 8. I think I reckon this is 6 or 7 or 8 in the exact year. Because if running was 2004, probably finished that. Yeah, maybe 7. I think maybe 7. And then, just sitting there one day, just like all eating round, this meal, complete stillness in like, not the super alpine, but like these mountains they're big mountains over there. It's like, it's probably connected to the Himalayas, like where the Himalayas runs down through India. It's probably part of that, but more like the foothills, but it's still huge. And then 2 jets just come burning over like super fast, not like, doing anything, but just like crazy speed. And you're just like, I was like, this is 2 worlds right here. You have this of like stillness, acceptance, like this whole peacefulness. And then you've got this fast modern thing coming over the one landscape. It was a very surreal moment of like, wow, yeah, the 2 worlds colliding in one natural area. So
do you mean if there's context to this? Do you mean if I ask how old you are?
40 in 2 weeks.
40 in 2 weeks.
I have to think about that.
What was your date of birth?
86, 21st. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. So I heard this thing the other day that was talking about people who were born in the 80s and the 90s. We were the generations that grew up bridging the gap between the like kind of online world and pre-online world. So what I mean by that is like, when you went to school, if your friend wasn't at school, you had to like wait home and like go to their house to find out what they weren't in. Yeah. Whereas now, and then obviously we bridged the gap between like the iPhone and like constantly being online.
Yeah.
And this thing was saying that we're like a generation that aches for the peace of what life used to be. Cause we had both, like kids born up growing up now, they have just the fast paced, constant online, constant, you know, our mums and dads, they were older when the phones and stuff came in. We were the ones that kind of like bridged that gap between the two. So like, whether I definitely resonated with it, but it says that we all have this like internal ache of knowing what a childhood was like pre-phones and how peaceful and connected that was, and you're constantly trying to like get back to it. And it's kind of the reason I was bringing that up. It kind of sounds like it seems like something that you're looking for, like that peace, that quiet, that.
So interesting. It's very true. Like, as soon as you said it, I'm like, that's spot on, because like that trip I did was probably pre any smartphone. I think I can't remember when the first iPhone.
Yeah, I don't know.
2008, 9, 10. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's pre any. You had a smartphone back, or the first iPhone wouldn't have had. We had no social media. You had the way of contacting was a landline telephone that you used to dial up, and internet used to be a thing you couldn't use if someone was on the phone. Like it was this like weird connection thing, and like you say, you'd always, you know, if you were. So you get home from school, or at the weekend, you'd be like, you'd go out in the morning, or I'll be back for tea, dinner, whatever. You should be out all day. There's no way people can contact you, but it was just the way. So that's interesting, actually. Now you say that, it's like, I haven't really thought about that before, like chasing the meaning and the meaningfulness, but it's probably a big part of that.
Yeah.
Because you have that, like you say, we lived both kind of fully in with that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And how come you, with regards to the places that you went to, I would love to go to those places. Yeah. But when I was younger, I wouldn't have thought that. Like, what made you choose those places as opposed to like, what would have been more of a classic trip, like a Euro through like Spain and France and Italy? Like
the unknown.
Right, okay.
The complete unknown. I mean, during that time or before that time, obviously we had the war over there in 2001, whenever it was. I mean, it was still there, obviously, up until whichever year they left, not that long ago. So it was known as a place, but it was unknown as well. But I'd spent a lot of time with some people as well in like Dartford area and things like that, telling me the beauty of the area and things like that. And it was actually through a couple of those people that actually started to get it all arranged and stuff. So it's like, and it is like, obviously, like now if you went there, you'd be taking pictures, photos, but the memories are all here for me. There was didn't take cameras or, you didn't have phones to just document everything. It was all human connection and trust, and there was a lot of that, couple of like, sketchy moments, I guess, where communication is broken down because people aren't speaking language and they see a white Western guy in some of these areas. It's, and with translation, you start to and then you're completely welcomed and you're like, it's just traveling through, there's nothing, but doing that now would be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
Incredibly difficult.
At that point in time, it wasn't, no.
I mean, if you like saying I've been to like those places, it's kind of, you think, oh my God, but I find this with a lot of things. Like I feel the media portrays things in such a way that, it's, these areas get a lot of, not just there, but loads of areas. It's just so dangerous. You can't travel there and things, but you can. Like it's welcoming. These people are lovely, lovely people all around the world. There's great humans. And I think the media, we've got this huge thing at the moment worldwide, divisiveness. You're either this side or this side. The truth is somewhere in the middle with most subjects. And I find that this is the same. If you lose, we've got this great guide at her work, Tony, who's like, he spoke at TEDx in Victoria, and his whole thing is human connection and this journey of speaking to strangers. And it's fantastic what he does, but it's so true. Like when you speak to people, face to face, you have that connection, and generally you're going to get on. Like it's very rare. You see all the stuff. I try to stay offline as much as possible, but online is a world of whatever you want to call it, keyboard warriors and all these comments and just nastiness all the time. But it would never really happen as face to face as much as people think. And the world's just gone into this divided state now. But I think a lot of it's fueled by media and scaremongering. I really do. Like it's a big, big thing and a big problem.
Because I think when you see places like Pakistan and Afghanistan, not now, but younger, like I would have thought like, wow, that sounds really dangerous, and because of the reason you're saying about the news, because the news is constantly about,
and that's all that the information we were getting at that time. So you just get the mainstream news feeds come in. now is great. Like this kind of format that you're doing and things like that and podcasts, independent journalists, we are starting to see more truths come out with many, many subjects. And because like the gatekeeping side or the agenda or the companies that lobby, you know, politicians or media things, they're all got their own invested interest to directing things a certain way. So it's like, I've always been very, as you can probably tell, anti-establishment and a very anti, not believing what I'm force-fed. I'd rather go and see something. I'd rather read about my own research on some subject rather than just be, everything's so quick now. Like you just hear something like, oh, it must be true. It must be true. Someone, you know, you get down this spiral of, there's a great saying of like, I try to live by this, is like, especially in the West now, it's like, we know so much. We know so much, but we understand so little. Whereas many other areas understand so much more, but know less. And it's I think that's a really key thing to many, many different subjects. And it's like, yeah. So I don't know, that really changed me, that trip, of like my view on everything else, because things get portrayed one way, but actually the reality is these places are incredible with incredible people. Extreme kindness and like honoring guests that come there and all this kind of stuff, which is just, yeah, it's very, very special. So when I came back from all of that, I had a different, chasing that meaning again, I think. So like obviously with the half marathons around Europe was kind of just me just going around, but I was getting back into running. So it was kind of like, right, I want to hit a fast time on a half marathon. I'd never done half marathons before, obviously run distance, 10Ks and things like that, but for club, but I was like, road half marathon, I want to get a 1:15. That's my goal. And I hit it in Prague, like did probably 15 or 20 half marathons round, hit it, but then
that's quite a lot.
Which was like, yeah. So I traveled around, like a lot were in the UK, France, Hungary, obviously, yeah, Czech Republic, one in Romania, wherever, just places in Europe. And to hit that, I was like, yes, I hit it. But it was still empty. I was still like, there's no meaning, but there is meaning, obviously, but like, I didn't feel fulfilled from that. So I'm like, right, what do I need to do? And that's where the charity, it was about that sort of time. Yeah, the big charity where it was probably then, of doing things for a greater cause. So raising money, but just putting myself in, you know, all situation. Because you've done Ironman, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
You have. So that's like brutal. I've only done a half. Like, it's awful, but things like that. So like I did CrossFit for a period of time when I came back from like sort of finishing the half marathon like era. I reconnected with a couple of friends from skateboarding and stuff, and then went into CrossFit, which I loved. Like I really loved the community side of it. It was very like friendly, and it was just a great place to go. And well, I fell in love with Olympic weightlifting. That was like, again, me v the bar. It's that solo thing of like, no excuses. I either get it over my head or I don't. But during that, it was like CrossFit has like a repetition scheme for many different workouts called 21, 15, 9. So you do 21 reps of whatever movement, 15 reps, 9 reps, and it could be 2 or 3 movements. So it's a very like intense workout. So I was like, I'm going to create a triathlon for charity, doing like a half marathon, 21K row in a vest, like a weighted vest, 15K run and a 9K swim. And like
9K swim?
9K swim. Wow. Which was like awful. Yeah. Like it was so...
Sorry, 21K run?
Row, like a row.
A row. And what was the middle?
15K run.
15K run, okay. And then
a 9K swim. Which was like, and we just did it in the local pool. It was like 380 lengths or 60 lengths of the pool.
Wow.
But like, it was all about just putting myself in these, how far can I'm chasing something. That's the thing. But I wanted to do it for cause. So a lot of these different things, like the Snowdon one with the barbell, that was disgusting.
Andy told me you had like an 80 kilogram?
Yeah.
80 kilogram barbell.
Just a barbell. I just walked up and down
like
Snowdon with
it. Like just,
literally solo.
Like absolutely.
It was awful.
Awful.
It was like, I can't even remember how long it took. It was awful. But what got me through that was like, I wore obviously the, was I doing that one for? It was teenage.
That makes my shoulders feel sore thinking about it.
It was bad. Like I thought I'd worked out, like I trained a bit with it going up and down a few hills in Lancashire and stuff like that. And just walking around streets with a bar, like looking like some crazy guy. I just drove there at like 3 a.m. and set off like while it was still dark. Very different here. You don't have bears in Wales. So wouldn't do that here. And it was just a delirious feeling of like struggle to get up and down there. It was, but that's why I really found something that I'd seen before with the mountains, the connection with nature, all the noise is stripped away. You feel the mountains, you sense everything going on. You're at one with the ground you're on. And I think that was like, this is what I'm chasing. This is that feeling of exhaustion, but still, I don't know. It's just felt meaningful. Like,
I was going to ask you, like, you were sort of like referencing chasing something there, but that's what you're chasing, like the quiet peace from exhaustion. Yeah. I think when I think back in my running as well, like, just like track running, but like you used to be so, I'm the same where even now, like I love doing exercise or even like the steam room where like you're so physically overwhelmed with the heat or the thing that you've done that for like a couple of minutes after it, you're just, there's nothing in your mind. You know, you're just, it's almost like forced meditation.
Yes.
Because you just can't think anything. You're just like, I very much enjoy that. And it sounds like that's kind of what you were chasing the whole.
It is. And that's it now. And it's like certain times with like ice baths years ago and stuff during this. So I'd use it for recovery and stuff, but you could use it for meditation. So you could sit in an ice bath for like 20, 30 minutes, get your heart rate low, like probably late 30s, mid 30s at times. Go under and just let your mind drift. I'd do it outside in my garden in Lancashire and just, it was an old whiskey barrel. So it's like a wood thing, like used to fill with wasps in the summer. It was awful. But like in the winter and stuff, like it would just be cold and I could just sit there and your mind would just go off. Like you would just, someone could shout my name and it wouldn't even enter. So you had this space of like, and that's kind of a similar feeling again. I feel like so much is invisible to what we see, touch and smell and things. Like there's so much more going on.
Do you meditate? Like outside of what you were just saying there, do you meditate specifically?
Dabbled with it, but I wouldn't say.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing it anyway in something else, but.
Yes, I think that's right. In the long run, ultras and stuff, I think that's where that comes in. But like ice baths, I would use that now for meditation rather than a recovery
like a
aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's like, they're great. But it's taken on a whole nother thing. And it's very important. So like, if you want to do that meditation side is you must submerge. It's like you have the sympathetic nervous system on the back of your neck.
Yeah.
So you have sympathetic and parasympathetic. If you don't dunk your head, your body can't fully regulate the temperature and it doesn't set your diving. I can't remember what it's called now. There's some, I'm going to forget the name. But it doesn't activate basically your diving sense. But once you dunk your head fully under and come up, yes, you'll be cold. You'll be breathing a bit hard to start with, but then you can really relax.
So you dunk at the beginning?
Oh, 100%.
Because I did cold plunge. I did it a lot last year.
Yeah.
And I would dunk at the end. And also I would purposefully, and it's interesting you say this because I guess this is what makes sense. And I didn't know this at the time. I would purposely go like right to the base of my neck. So not like under my chin, like right where my shoulders would go under. Yeah. Because I found that if I got my neck under the water, that was like, it just was like a totally different experience. Yeah. Like it was worse, I guess is what I'm saying. It was harder.
Yours would be harder.
I thought it was harder, yeah.
Yeah. What you were doing is like, or when you got your neck under.
If I put my neck under, it was harder. But I never dunked before. Only because I was like, oh, I'll be here for like minutes in the cold. And I guess because here's obviously, I mean, today's not like cold, but it could be like minus 15. Yeah. And I don't want to dump my head and then be. At the end of it, I would always dunk, but that was more just about like mental.
Yes.
Like I did it thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to what you're saying, which is like an actual like scientific benefit.
Yeah. So when you go under first, your body can, if your head's like, it's the same when people like get cold water shock. If they go in water, like they fall in cold water and they're trying to their brain can't work out what's going on. So you have like the head's still warm, but the body's freezing. Whereas if you submerge under, your brain will go, right, I'm freezing. So let's deal with it rather than I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot. What's going on? It's mixed signals. So like if you dunk, then come up, slow your breathing down, control. That's how I can end up sitting there for a period of time where you can then relax and control that breathing.
And are you doing it here as well in the winter?
Done it here a few, I'm not doing it as much at the moment, but I haven't done it
once this winter.
No, I've done it maybe once or twice, but
I imagine then you're not doing it for 20 minutes, are you?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, So I've only done, I think probably a 7, just
even that's
trying. Yeah, but it was like, it's super cold. Like, I mean, sometimes I've got like a hard inflatable thing. I mean, some days, like when it's minus 20 below or whatever, I look at it and I'm like, well, that's frozen solid. What am I going to do with that? So I don't do it much. I see people going into the Bow River and stuff, and mad respect for those people, because moving water is way harder than just sitting in something that's still like that. You couldn't meditate in that, like, I don't think.
So that's what I was doing last year, was I was going down to the Bow River.
Oh, nice.
The canoe docks, and it's moving. So we would do...
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I think the longest we did was maybe like 3 minutes.
That's good.
Yeah. But again, like, not dunking my head before, so... But I actually found that I could do the 3 minutes. It was when, and obviously I was freezing. I was cut, but I only say that because I was in freezing water.
Yeah.
It was when I got out. So I actually live not that far. I live like a 5-minute walk away. I have a massive, like, I'd obviously put on all my clothes, and I also have a massive fluffy, like,
like the
shrouders jacket, as warm as you can get. And on that 5-minute walk home, like, that was the worst part about the whole thing, because my temperature would plummet, and I'd be like jackhammering on the way home. But then as soon as I got in the door, I'd be fine. But it was weird that I weirdly enjoyed it. Like, I don't know why, like, I weirdly enjoyed that.
Primal. It's a primal feeling to it, isn't there? And it's like, obviously the Wim Hof movement and stuff, that is great. Like, it's that primal feeling again. I think like that's linking back to what it is to be human. Hot and cold is good to be exposed to. Like, it really is. You know, I say about you should dunk your head. People are getting into cold water anyway up to there is still a massive benefit. Like, I'm not saying it's not. It's a huge benefit for the body. Yeah, and it gives you that endorphin as well, that euphoric feeling, which is like, again, another thing I think we lack in this world now, of like, it's short hit dopamine and things like that, but having something that's really raw, nature based is massive, and it's so long lasting as well. So that's like a really, like you say, you do steam rooms, saunas and stuff like that. That's again another aspect of it. I think it's so important. I mean, I think it's the Finnish. They will sauna 3 or 4 times a week religiously, like, and their levels of, you know, oxygen and stuff super high. So it's science backed.
I was thinking, like, if it just helps me it almost helps me to release the stress of just life. Not that, and I also don't actually have that stressful life, but, you know, I do the steam room pretty much every day because I go to the gym every day.
Nice.
So like, you know, getting that like 10 or 15 minutes of just like stressing out all the mental demons that I may be having going on. Like, I then feel like I'm most of the time chill for the rest of the week, because you're doing, or whether it's running or swimming or whatever it is, like that physical, like, demand that you're kind of putting out, it almost like burns off all the energy that I would otherwise probably be putting towards like being anxious or, and it's kind of nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so key. I think doing that is that release, and everything is, and that's what it is to be human. Like, I think it's those things, doing that hard stuff, going to the gym every day, and like the discipline or motivation, like, which like, discipline creates motivation. You find like, it's like you do the hard thing, but it creates you to want to do more. So you're like, it's, an add-on effect. But so important of being human. It's those aspects, and like, not to just, be still, movement is,
And you were talking about like when you came back from your trip and then getting back into running and enjoying it, but the running is still not necessarily giving you that sense of meaning. And then you were doing the charity, obviously done numerous charity things as well. Like, why do you think having the meaning is so important to you?
That's a good question. I think it's what makes us human, of having, I think we all search for meaning. So it's kind of, it's a tricky one. I mean, I probably, like, as a person, think it's like trying to find who I am and find out more and more about myself. So doing those things, helping others, like, out of it, even doing all those challenges, it was like, which was, some of them were super hard, but then I got invited to the Royal Marsden Kids Cancer Hospital in Surrey, and ended up going there and meeting, you know, some of the kids and stuff. And like, I don't know what they're going through in the families and things, with kids with these kind of, you know, horrible things going on. It makes you see how, like, fragile life is and how quick it can be, and how much. So doing those little things gave me, like I was helping, but gives me meaning. I'm doing good. I'm thinking of doing good at that point. I think from having, like, you know, bit of trouble going up the rebellious side and causing problems or whatever, doing something that was actually really benefiting humans that were, you know, in need and stuff like that. And I don't know, that was harder than doing any of the challenges. So it's kind of just, it's that thing of being human and present, and like just being in that moment to appreciate things, not take things for granted. And yeah, I think, like, life being fragile, so it can be over like that any day for any of us. So you just try and find meaning in everything you can, in every small moment.
Do you think was it the traveling that you did, and like, obviously kind of, I don't want to say the word war torn because that's what the media would say, but like in a place where it's maybe just not as wealthy as where you and I are from, and then obviously working with the kids in a charity who I assume are sick and dying.
Yeah.
Like that must, did that give you those perspectives of life being so fleeting and seeing, especially young kids with stuff like that, and you're just like,
just awful. But it does, it gives you that hard dose of reality, I think.
Like it breaks the illusion that you'll live to, like, everyone lives till they're 80.
Yeah. And like, and everything else that goes on with life, everyone's in a whirlwind of stuff. You kind of don't think about any of these things. So it's hard to, and when things do happen, it's like such a shock as well. So it's also like a lot of this training and stuff I do is to be capable and keep the stress low, so I can be calm under pressure when if things do go wrong. It's building that body, which we'll probably get onto with the ultras and stuff and the way I do that. But you know, you need to be calm in a lot of these situations. And I find a lot of, like, the people in like Vietnam or Cambodia or Pakistan, Turkmenistan, they were so calm. I found everyone was so calm and still, even with things going on, and they got all, you know, all sorts of horrors or whatever going on. Everyone has stuff going on in their life. And then to be able to be present, but deal with it in a calm manner. And like, I always remember the kids in Royal Marsden were amazing. Still, like the sense of humor, the like gratitude, everything about it. I was like, that is what it's, you know, to be human. Cause like people go through those things. It's easy to like crumble in and give in and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I took a lot of inspiration from that. I think of just, yeah.
Yeah. I also think getting to our age where it almost feels like a blessing that I've not had any major illnesses, or like my family, my mum and dad are still alive. My grandparents died when, in the idea of like logical time, like they passed away like before when they were supposed to. They were just old.
Yeah.
You know, and my two sisters got two like kids, they're both healthy, you know. It's now getting to an age where that is my life. I'm like, dude, this doesn't feel like that common, because you see people like young kids that have illnesses, or I've known people young, like I knew someone a long time ago that passed away when we were kids, and it's just that completely snapped my illusion of that you think you'll live for it. Not forever, sorry, but you assume that everyone's going to have this happy and healthy life. Now, at the age of 32, I'm just like, I honestly feel super grateful that, touch wood, I haven't had anything like major, and no one immediate to me either. Like, it definitely has snapped that illusion, which is nice though. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's a bit of it's an inner conflict of not thinking about it too negatively. Like, oh God, we could all go tomorrow. Yeah. But I think that reflecting on the fact that it could be taken away from you so quickly makes me, and it sounds like you as well, like more proactive in doing stuff now and making the most of it now.
Yeah, I think so with that. And you kind of, they say, taking nothing for granted as much. Like, obviously I've been guilty of that many times, like everyone has, but I try to now like appreciate little moments as much as you can. And being, grateful I can still, walk, run, do all these things, and like, cause you never know. And it's a hard hitting thing, but like, and you don't like, I think you touched on something there of like, you don't want to go down the other route of thinking, oh, what if this happened? Your mind can then go into this whole,
I was definitely that person when I was younger, where I would go down the negative path of like, but that, like, this could happen. Like, I was always kind of worst case. And then I think it was just the reality over numerous years of having that mentality. And I literally was like, the worst case has never, ever actually happened. So that kind of helped me to then reframe it slightly that, while I still have that attitude of like, okay, this horrible thing could happen, which is not the best. It's now more in a positive context where I'm like, okay, right, if that could happen, then make sure that you're making the most of what you're doing now. And I'm the same as you, like, I'm definitely, it's not like every day I wake up like, let's make the most of today. But I think generally, like, it definitely has pushed me to be like, you might as well try this thing or do this thing or go to this place because, thinking about doing it next year, like, next year may not ever come. Which just sounds negative, and it is, but it kind of, the negativity of that idea pushes me now to,
that's cool,
probably do a bit more.
And that's it. Like, the mind will always make things worse than it is. Like, the mind is like a real complex thing of always makes every situation, like, if there's a bad thing happening, worse than it actually physically would be. Like, your mind is a protective, like, thing going on, but it can also be detrimental to, like, things, I find. So it's like controlling that mind is a big key thing, I think.
And I find that running is the one, not the one thing, but it's definitely running is one of the things for me, which is like super positive for my mind. Like, I've always thought of as I've got older, I don't even necessarily think of running for the exercise of it. Obviously I'm doing it for that, but I think of it more of like it's like a mental, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, release. That's not the right thing.
It's like a mental aid.
Mental aid, thank you. Would you say now that you've kind of come back into it and you're obviously you're doing ultras and stuff like that, like, what benefit do you get from running now? Do you think is that kind of mental aid side of it?
100%. Peacefulness, like, I try and do everything in mountainous areas, or, which is easy to do with an ultra actually, but like, you're never going to do it in cities, but like, being outside, connected to nature. But the mental aspect I find so fulfilling, like clarity, just calmness, stillness, connection. It's a massive, massive thing for me now. It's not the physical. And for me, I can't speak for everyone. For me, a ultra marathon, we'll get into what distance that could be, but like, it's all a mental battle for me. It's not a physical. I think if there's a guy, you might have Ross Edgley, who's, amazing.
From the UK,
swam around it 6 months, 6 hours in, 6 hours out of the water. Like, incredible. But you'd look at him and think, there's no way you can swim. Like, just built very, very well, but like, built a robust body to not get injured. And then obviously his mental thing is just on point. To do that 6 hours on, 6 hours off for 6 months is like wild, but on a different level completely. But it's a similar thing, like how I train ultra is build a body that doesn't get broken and keep moving. That's it for me. It's not about, setting crazy times or things like that with this kind of thing. Now I kind of have that on the track, but as previous, now it's like explore, find myself, more vision of what's going on, the peace, the clarity, all these. Meditation comes into it a bit when you're into deep miles. You can really, it's euphoric in aspects, and it's so raw and primal that, you know, it's a battle for sure. And I did one on the Isle of Skye, big one up there, top to bottom. The first year I did it, I tore my calf like on one of the downhills in the Cullen area, and that was like, I beat myself up again. So it goes back to that thing of like, I just wanted, was that my first or second or third? I can't remember now. But basically, in my mind, I went back to the old me of, I failed. I failed. Like it was a mile 35 and then I struggled to mile 50 and then had to pull out. So it's like just over halfway or whatever. And for a year after that, I was basically beating myself until I went like back and redid it the following year and like did really well with it. And that was like a real turning point for me mentally of like understanding that it wasn't failure. Like an injury is an injury, but I felt like I quit. But I was hobbling. There was no help on the thing until you got down to the so hobbling like 15 miles to get to the next checkpoint. I mean, we had like a GPS thing, but like, I feel like I can't press that. Yeah, I'm still moving. Dying, you know? Exactly. I was like, I can't get a helicopter up here. I can get down this mountain and whatever. But understanding like that, again, failure wasn't failure. And to go back and redid it, like that ended so many demons for me from previously with the running and the understanding of the track. Oh, I didn't fail, although I did. It still goes on. But like, gives me understanding and can put it to bed of like, it just wasn't meant to be at that point. Things happen. It is what it is. You deal with that there and now and you work through. And it's like, yeah, it teaches me so much. I think running long distance, it doesn't even have to be a race. I can just go off and, you know, me and Andrew would like talking about doing a big loop from here, from Banff up to Lake Louise, past, you know, through the other valley and then back down. We've worked out like 100-mile route and we're like, oh wow, this could be cool. So like, it's really like Pete's interesting. So I like exploring things like that. It doesn't have to be a set race because it's not about that. It's about the journey within and like mentally and stuff. And
so what distance of ultras are you doing now? Or what ultras are you doing now?
So I've done like a few 100-milers. Did a 24-hour one in North Wales, which was like I think it's like a 6-mile loop, but with quite a bit of elevation. You just ran for 24 hours. Oh, wow. How far can you go? And it was
hard.
Awful. Yeah. Awful. I didn't start. I was just delirious. It was like one of those, I just kept going.
What, can I ask what hundreds have you done?
So Skye.
Okay.
Skye was one.
That'd be amazing if the weather was nice.
Yeah. Which year was it? It was, trying to think, the first year did it, but yeah, it was the first year when I slipped and it had rained so much in the spring. And obviously there's only a set rule time you can do out there because of like midges and other things. And like, it's really tough. And then on top of the first mountain range, you start up by like the lighthouse up the top and then you, I can't remember the name of it's like just above Portree. There's like a big mountain range where the Old Man of Stories above there, but it's like a big nature reserve. So there's like eagles nesting. So they have to get special permission to actually cross this area. Right. Okay. So like, but I remember it was just like the whole spring it had rained. But the following year when I completed it properly, it was sunny and beautiful. So it was like one of the best places I've been. I loved it there. Like it was so special. Chamonix area, I did one. And then, yeah, I said the North Wales 24-hour, the amount of time I've spent in North Wales just off running. I can even say the distance because they're not like set races. But yeah, a few like that. Moab 240. I haven't done it. No, okay, no. Sorry. I was in for it. I've deferred my place and I'm still like umming and ahhing on that because of things, here and stuff. And just if it's going to sit right, I want to do it. Like,
have you done anything over 100 miles? I mean, the 24 maybe?
Yeah, the 24 hour, I went over 100 miles.
And do you, when you're running?
I've done 140, about 140 is probably my max, I reckon I've done.
And when you do that, are you like listening to music or are you just like,
no.
Right, okay, so I did.
Just like,
Yeah. I wanted the experience that you have had.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go about it the right way. So I did 100 mile. I did the Lethbridge 100 mile.
Nice.
Like, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I did it for the reasons that you're saying, where I was like, I want to like see where my mind goes and like internally explore and stuff like that. But I had music and podcasts and people calling me the whole way, and I did it. I mean, in hindsight,
that's still awesome.
I know, but in hindsight, I was doing it to distract myself from the hardness of what I was doing. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, I wish I hadn't, because I feel like I missed that element of, I had moments, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say,
I definitely had moments, so, but I didn't, it took away from the challenge of it, really. Because I knew I could, it's not that I knew I could run
I think you still achieved a lot there, like doing, I think anything like that is
I like,
still massive.
Yeah, I like what you're saying though, where you're like, you do a lot of these things for the growth inside.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel, I guess what I'm saying is, I feel like I missed out on that because I know it's like still an accomplishment with the physical demands of it, but I think I missed what I was looking for, which is what you're saying is that with like internal mental growth and stuff like that you get with these things.
You do. Yeah, you do. And I think that's the thing where you don't have to have a race to do that as well. Like it's the exploration of just, I could draw, like me and Andrew did the other day, I could draw on a map, like in the UK, I'd be like, right, I'm going to run from Scotland down to here and then, you know, into the Lake District or whatever it is. You just go and do it. And like, there's no noise around that. It's just UV, whatever you're on. But yeah, I mean, some of these bigger races, I think where you need aid stations, like there's the Arizona, I think 300 now, they've got a 300 mile, obviously Moab 240, and there's others that are like cropping up. Yeah, they're really interesting, but like the train, I don't run anywhere near enough as I should for an ultra race. Like I do weight training. So, you know, the Olympic lifting, squats and stuff. And then our maximum, I don't know why I put this number in my head, but the maximum I'll ever run in a single distance is 20 miles in training.
Okay.
I wouldn't go above that.
Why? You don't know why? You just have
my thing of like, I don't need to, but, and that sounds really, I don't mean that to be arrogant. It's like, I find it a mental battle. So like, once you get over a certain point, maybe a marathon distance, I find it's all mental.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Like you can keep moving. Your mind will give up way before your body. The body can take so much more than when the mind say, oh, stop. You're probably only like half done. Body can take so much more. It's not necessarily good for you, but like it's a hard recovery. But yeah, it's mind for me on this. So like if I can push my mind to that point, I'm good. I'm like, I can keep going. And that's the goal is just to keep building that, I think. And like the training regime around it, the enjoyment of it. But for me now, it's more that, let's say, the mind, connection with nature, and just having that moments of finding that inner peace. And like, that's where for me, like real happiness comes from as well, which is like, interesting.
Sounds like it's the physical challenge isn't even a concern at this point in time. It's really just that mental growth. Like, why do you think that you want to keep challenging yourself and growing? And because I think people get to our age and they're kind of like, you know, you're kind of set in your ways. You feel like you know what you know about life, and then you're comfortable and kind of coasting through it. Not in a negative way. It's just,
no, I know what you mean.
Whereas you seem to be purposely doing the opposite and constantly trying to challenge. Like I was going to, that question going.
Yeah.
Or maybe to summarize it, like you are someone that it seems is comfortable with getting to a level in something and then just scratching it and going completely back to square one with something else.
Yeah.
Like you seem really comfortable with that. I mean, you've done it obviously with the running, and then you went traveling, and then you've moved to Canada. Like, you know, someone who's constantly been able to restart. Is that something that you've cultivated? Or is it just
interesting? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people look at that as maybe cold as well, like emotionally, like with, you know, moving away from families and things like that. Whereas I kind of just, I don't see it like that. And you lose touch with certain people or whatever it is. And like, I don't know, I feel the same. I can easily switch like off from something in it, and I can now accept it. So I think it's that acceptance of like, I think if something's left burning there unfinished, then it's always going to be a bit resentful and a bit of a thing with it. But like for me, I can just now, with most things, I can seem to just, it comes back to that calmness and stillness with it, being able to just accept things as it is. And then, yeah, I don't know, I don't really know what I'm chasing now. It's like, say, more meaning and stuff, but I don't know, the more I learn, I do a lot of research or try to on like, human mind and like other, I was going to say dimensions, it's not the right word, but like different areas of like human consciousness and things like that, and like the experience you can have. I think like meditation is something I would probably like to get further into more with that, but it's that meaning, and I think that's what it is to be human. And I think I'm chasing that more than anything else. I think the world we live in is like, just very different of like not being human. It's like, I look at cities and I struggle in cities. So like, I've never been a big city person, but I like feel that, and obviously we're in these cities and things like that, but I don't think humans are made to be packed together in huge groups in 3D cities. I feel when you come to places like this, or like you say, the village or town you're from and things like that, the smaller towns and things like that, which I found when I moved north in England, so much more friendly in the community side of it. You have that more human connection going on, whereas in cities, no one really knows each other. So everyone's just going about their business like it's, and I find them so stressful. Those situations, like mentally, it's such an overload for me. So I think that's probably something to do with it, is that mental clarity and peace of mind when I find things too messy mentally. But I feel I see through all of that as well. And like, I know what I want and like and need. So I chase that. I think that's where it comes from.
It sounds like you have a really healthy ego. Like, I know you obviously probably don't think that, but it's like the reason I say that is just like being able to let go of stuff, like not getting so fixated on the identity of being like a runner or this or that, and like just being able to like not also worry. I mean, I don't know if you have this internally, but like it's not worrying what other people will think about, like, I've got this, and then I'm going to move to Canada. And I don't know the circumstances of you moving to Canada, but I just mean like maybe you didn't have a job when you came here and just I'm just going to go and just start again. Like, I think it's a really healthy thing to be able to do that, as opposed to latching on to like, people get like to a certain point or age in their career and they're like, I can't let this go. I'm going to like lose all this money and this title. And
exactly right. Yeah. I think that's like the job I had in the UK was like a project manager for like private clients doing, building their own homes and stuff like that. So that was kind of the work identity. And then leaving that, and, quite a few people said, that's your career. This is what you're doing. I'm like, but now I'm like, guiding in the mountains, that's way, like, we needed the escape. Myself, wife, we had 2 young kids, so it was kind of like we wanted to leave the UK.
You came over as a family,
right, came over as a family. We like visited once as a group, and then my wife came many years back and stuff, and we just fell in love with it. And it was like, it was time for the change. We weren't happy as a unit in the UK. Things are changing there a lot. For us, it just, it just didn't feel right. And it was obviously, it was a big move. We live very close to her family and stuff. So it was very much, they're extremely upset, and like, there's the grandkids with her parents and stuff and like that. But I don't know, it felt right and it was good to do. But, it's, it was all about finding that meaning, going back to that of like the job you had in the UK at that time as well. Like, that's who I am. That's what I do. And it was very much that, until you like step out of that, and then I don't know, you just like, coming here has been a revelation. I find like, I love this area. Obviously the surroundings are incredible, but like the people, I think many people have come here as well with similar type things where there's a big community here of people who've wanted a different, or, I'll say better life, or whatever you want to call it, that they want that something else. So that they've, this place has obviously got a huge amount of immigration, people from all over that have come in. And they're all here for a very similar reason, I find, of like it's that connection, that slowing down of life, but the outdoor lifestyle, the opportunities of that kind of thing. And I find that really, very different to what I've grown up with in like UK and things like that. So it's been very beneficial, I feel, to us and the family as like a group, as a unit as well. It's pulled us way tighter because obviously you haven't got any other people you rely on and things like that, but you kind of, the things we all do together now. And it's like, again, it's that connection of like, whereas I don't know, found in the UK, like so busy with work and things, you come home, you have your dinner and then you go to bed and stuff, and you're not really, you're with people, but you're not with people. Like you lose that. Well, I did anyway, like, connection, and like, you're just so wrapped up. And like, even when we'd take vacations, my phone would be ringing, you're constantly on the phone doing emails and things like that. You don't switch off. And it's like, I think after a while, it's just burning out more and more and more. And then the resentment and unhappiness comes in, and you're trying to find out why you're unhappy. And then, it's moments where you do these ultras or the longer runs, or I go out exploring, whatever. And then you find it again. But then moving to a place like this, it's almost there. It's like, it's so easy to access those things by just going up, one of the mountains, Harling, Rundle, Grotto, whatever it is. You just go up there and spend a couple of hours just sitting up there in peace. Surrounded by, incredible nature and real primal moments. I mean, last year I got my first charge by a grizzly bear.
Oh, did you?
Which was like hiking up in, it was like, but it felt like, I look back now, it felt so primal. And it got within 20 feet. It was up.
Did you bear spray?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Had that. I was on my own though in a yellow bear area. So apologies. That was not the best move. Right, okay. Should have been in a group. But, I've had, some training with all this, but then climb Mount Kidd, or the fire tower in Mount Kidd in Kananaskis, just behind like the golf club area. And as soon as I got to the ridge, I was just about to put my bag down, relax, and I just hear this thundering go. Spin round, and it's just like there, and I'm like, pulled it out, ready to go, but then it just veered off. Because what it was, I'm coming up one ridge, he's on the other eating berries. I'm shouting, doing all the right, things. But my voice is carrying up and not going down the other side. And then once I'm on the top, I'm not shouting because I think I can see everything. And it's probably, it obviously smelled me for sure. Probably heard me on the gravel at the top. So it's just bolted up to see who I am. Am I another bear in territory or food?
My hands getting sweaty and listen to the story.
It was big. It was quite and a lot of people, I kind of, I got down quickly and safely, but as it's going down, like my senses were so heightened, like the adrenaline. I had a video I filmed before going up, this view and stuff like this. And then I didn't obviously film the bear, but afterwards I was like putting my phone up. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? Like my voice, and you could hear the difference. Like the adrenaline was like with me for about 5 or 6 hours. It was such a primal feeling. Obviously glad nothing, happened but it's, super rare, but you never know, they're wild animals. Yeah. So it's like, but got myself down safely, but that primal feeling of not face to face, because it was still 15 feet away or so. So it's close running at me, but then, I don't know. There was something very primal about that. That was like the senses as I was going down, squirrels, I could hear everything. I could literally hear everything in that.
Hypersensitive.
And I'm always hypersensitive anyway. I see a lot of wildlife. I notice movement very quickly. So I've always been like that. But I think that comes from exposure to the elements, being outdoors and all of this, and being, I don't want to say at one with it, but being connected to the land you're on. I used to be quite a big ego with mountains and running up and down them and not listening to what's going on. So weather systems coming in, I'll be fine. I'll be all right. And then I get caught out, and, a couple of times in North Wales, very bad. Not rescued or anything, but like shouldn't have done that. Whereas here, like I now look at mountain ranges and I'm like, mountains either look to me inviting, like they're welcoming me on, or they're saying, stay off. And like, I get that feeling very quickly. Like I did Tent Ridge last year for the first time. I'm like, just going up that little bit of like scram bit. I was like, no, I turned around.
Oh, really?
Turned around, went down and went up the other way because it just didn't have
so you still did his reverse?
We did the reverse route. I didn't go back down. I kind of went up and just ran up the other way. But something didn't feel right. It just, and I listen to that really carefully now. Like I find the Alps, spent a fair bit out there in Avoria and places like that and Chamonix and stuff, but like they're quite inviting mountains, I find, even though there's big glacier and stuff there. But here, I'm like, the mountains are intimidating here. They're very different mountains. Like they are unforgiving terrain here. Like I came here, like did a lot of running on some of the peaks and stuff around here, but like, I mean, they're just like scree and falling, which is normal for alpine, but like, I don't know, there's a real wild feeling about this place, which I love, but I want to tame. It's interesting.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Like coming from, I spent a lot of time in the Highlands, obviously, because that's
beautiful.
From Scotland.
Yeah.
And I used to think of it as like the wild until I came here. And for all the reasons that you've just said there, especially with like animals, like I know because I went back to Scotland and me and my girlfriend just went like a walk. I mean, we don't live in the Highlands, but we live rural, so there's like forests and stuff. And we went a walk and I was like, like I realized that I didn't have this baseline level of anxiety that I think I always have here. And I don't mean that in a negative context. I mean that when you're kind of going on about like the primal feeling, I think if I am not in the woods now and I don't have this like, you know, hairs in the back of my neck, kind of like anxious, it doesn't really feel that wild, you know?
No.
Obviously, as you were saying, you don't want anything dangerous to happen. I mean, that goes without saying, but it kind of adds to it. No.
It really does.
Yeah.
And you're sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, because I would run with like headphones in back home.
Yes, that's a key one.
Yeah, no. To be fair, I was trying to stop doing that anyway. Just again, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier about more of a mental challenge. Yeah. Just clarity and clearing your mind as opposed to listening to fucking Justin Bieber out on and on. But no, I do it out of practicality. Obviously, like I don't want to be running and I can't, you know, hear.
No.
It's going to get lost in a lot more.
It does. The hairs on the things like that sort of senses kicking in. Like if you're connected with the nature and the ground you're on and really paying attention and zoned in and all the other noises out, you can sense wildlife. You can sense something changing. There's like, if it's Scandinavia or something, it's like they have a saying like, if the forest goes quiet for a few minutes, get out. That's like a real warning sign from the trees and things like that. Cause everything's connected. Like, you know, tree systems, fungi, all this kind of stuff has senses and it's stuff we can't pick up on fully, but we can get glimpses of. And I think that's part of what I'm chasing, is always those connections with like nature where it is really deep, where you do feel stuff that as one. Because I think when you're like that as well, when you see wildlife, you don't feel scared around it. And if you're calm around it and presence, the animals, like I'm terrible around horses, like really bad.
Yeah.
Really, I got chased by one when I was doing cross country when I was young. Cross country race, it probably only wanted to come and say hello, but it bolted across the field towards me. I'm like hurtling over a fence to get away from this thing. It probably only wanted to say hi, but I was petrified. So now I have this inbuilt thing. When I see horses, I'm nervous. And when I see a horse, I don't act nervous, but I am nervous. The horse senses it straight away. So the horse starts acting skittish. And I'm like, there's something in that, because I'm not, you know, shaking or giving, but I am nervous. I can feel it. So that animal is feeling it. And it's every time I'm with a horse, and I know it's me setting it off in this weird, some sort of connection way that's like, I'm nervous, it's nervous. I'm like, I don't get on horses because I'm just going to be in big trouble. And it's like, yeah, that same thing I find around other animals I see and things like that. And my daughter's really like that as well. She's got this, like, you watch her with animal stuff and she's so calm around them, and like, it's just, I don't know, they're all calm around her. Like people say, oh no, my dog doesn't, you know, like other, you know, kids stuff, and they'll just sit next to her and you're like, there's something here where like we're all, if it's aligned the right way, it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Funny, like I got a friend, so I have a friend who has a baby, and they were telling me a story about their other friend. So my friend who has the baby was telling me the exact story, that kind of what you were saying about how his other friend was talking about how babies have this energy and they can feel like exactly what you were saying there. Like they know how you feel and stuff like that. And you say, yeah, babies, you know, they know when people are positive and whatever. And then my friend with the baby goes to give the baby to said person, and apparently the baby started like completely freaking out. And he said it was just funny because he had just been going on about how like babies can sense your energy and your positivity. And then he was like horrified that this baby was then like totally put off by this guy. Yeah. It's like, don't fucking put me near him. Yeah. But no, I agree with you. Like, I mean, they do say that as well. Like, like animals can sense, like even like weather changes and stuff like that.
100%. And I that's going to sound really bad, but I feel, so I've done a fair bit of hiking here now, but all in different areas, I can feel that weather change. So you get the sudden, obviously the temperature's an easy one, you get the drop or the warming, but you feel something's off. And you get these, and obviously animals sense it all the time. You see it, they go sitting down. Some animals do, some animals go into cover, they move out of the way. But there is definitely, it's some field that we're not seeing. And it's the same, like dogs can read people very well as well. You get dogs that will just don't like that. And there's something, I don't know, there's this whole spectrum of stuff we can't see. And I find that really interesting on, like frequencies, spectrums and things like that we can't see, but it is all connected. And I think it's something we've lost as well, which is probably a whole another topic of like some, ancient structures and the way they're done and constructed with frequencies and acoustic leveling and things like that. I'm like, I think humans at some stage knew a lot more about that than we do now. And we're kind of, that's what tunes everything in a lot more. Cause like meditation's linked obviously to frequency and things like that heavily. And you're like, there's a lot in that. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Hawaii? I know it's quite specific. So my girlfriend and I went to Hawaii like a couple of years ago. And we went to Kauai. I think that's how you pronounce it. We went to Polyhale Beach. So this beach is just a beautiful beach, but there's no signal there. And the road to get into it is a dirt track road. So we were there for 3 days, like no signal for 3 days.
Wow.
But also at night, like, cause it's this island in the, I don't know what ocean it is that we talked about. Is it the Pacific Ocean?
Yeah.
Okay, the Pacific Ocean. It's
Atlantic. No, Pacific.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think which. Yeah, go on.
It's in the middle of an ocean.
It's
and I think the flight from like the east coast of North America, so Vancouver, was about 5.5 hours. So it's like pretty remote.
Pacific.
And see at night, like it was the best place to experience that peace and quiet. On that beach, no signal, like it's pitch black, but there's no light pollution. So like the stars were like, it honestly was unreal. And it's funny how you were, because we didn't have any entertainment apart from just ourselves, obviously, like when it got dark at like whatever time it was, say it was like got dark at 8. It was dark, and then your body naturally fell into that rhythm of, right, like last night I did go to bed. I actually went to bed early, but I didn't get to sleep till like probably like, honestly, probably close to midnight for whatever reason. Whereas, in Hawaii for those like couple of days, like my body just like kicked into the rhythm of like, as soon as it was dark and the stars came out, and it was amazing to connect to them. You just immediately fell asleep. And then, you woke up when it was sunny, and it was a very, it wasn't just those 3 days. The whole holiday was kind of like that because we were staying in a van. So,
that's pretty epic.
Yeah. It was such a nice, like what felt like a natural way to be.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's really, we do a lot of night hikes at work and stuff, but I'm obsessed with the night sky for many reasons, but that is really key there of like, that rhythm. We're like so many places now is light pollution shielding our view of the sky and the stars and what's above us, which 250 years ago we didn't have a light bulb, maybe a bit more than that. So candles, but like there was no light pollution hardly anywhere. So everyone also used it for navigation, but also I think meaning and purpose and things, and everything was done around stars and constellations and different settings and things. So it's having that really grounds people. So I think like that experience you're having there where you see the night sky in the true form like that is so special. It's actually rare as well. Like there's so many people now that live in the world that don't see the night sky like that. And
you look down, not up. Like you look down at your phone. I
true. We all do.
Down at your phone and I think moving to somewhere like here, which is also amazing, like with regards to the night sky.
Yeah.
Like the night sky in Hawaii was just like this on steroids, to be honest. But so, like here's amazing where, if you're out at night and it's a clear sky and you look up and you're like,
got your planets and different stuff going on, and go to a little like Kananaskis, and obviously Jasper's a big dark sky preserve area, like world renowned one, but there are many in the world, like say Hawaii, a great example for it, and Chile, there's so many areas, but it's something so raw and primal about it, but like there's just the connection is there as well. And like, what is the cosmos? I mean, that's a whole other thing, but like, yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I think grounds people very quickly.
I mean, if you look back on everything that you've experienced and like the person that you've kind of grown into now, you know, and the moment of not making that Olympic cut or the GB team and it getting cut, like, if someone else was to listen to this, right, and they had an opportunity in their life that they missed and they thought that was it, like, I've missed it, like, what am I going to do now? Like, what advice would you give to them?
That's a good question. I think like be yourself, find yourself. Don't be afraid of failure. It's easy to say rather than done because I've done this for a long time, but try not to look at it as failure and learn from it. And some things, when you're competing at any sport, there's luck involved as well. So you can't put it all down to you and beat yourself up over it. You might, be good enough, but on that day you weren't, whatever reason. You could say 100 excuses, but the fact you just need to accept, which is hard to do, but then move on and grow and find yourself chase that meaning of what, I go back to is to be human, but I really feel that is what we're all chasing deep down. That could be many different things. Like it doesn't have to be running ultras or, whatever that is, but find that meaning, that grounded meaning of, that turns into a passion as well, because I think it breeds passionate people. Like if you're whatever field you're in, like I said about that guy earlier, Tony, and things like that, who have like this connection with strangers and things like that. But when you talk to him, he's like one of the most passionate people. He talks to strangers, and he's obviously had a lot of experiences. But any sort of field with that kind of thing, like Andrew obviously introduced us to and stuff. He's like, I don't know so much about him yet. I've only known him like a year or so, but like his passion for like what he does with guiding and his understanding of the whole area. Like I've never met anyone like that who's just so good at what he does. And it's finding those passions that, give you inner feeling and meaning. So try not to beat yourself up on stuff, which I've done. And we all do it. But like, I think that's where it makes sense to me now. Like a lot of the things, how my journey is like, and there's many people like me. So it's like, it is an honor to do. I've never sat down and like done this kind of thing before. I've always been like, I'm not on social media. I don't have a Twitter and Instagram or Facebook, whatever. So I'm like, I can't, Whereas like, so people know bits and pieces of my story, and I've always been quite quiet, I think, and reserved about stuff. But I think it was me and Andrew were car sharing with someone, and like they mentioned, how did you get into this? And obviously Andrew heard this. This is actually a really cool, like different thing, but I don't look at it like that because so many people go through so many similar journeys as well. But it's great to like, I don't know, share it in a way, because it's made me think about it when we got like introduced, of like going back over this a bit and being like, and things have clicked for me a little bit even with that. I'm like, okay, that's, you just learn to accept things. Like a few people have asked me, like, do you believe in fate and things like that? And I'm like, I don't like the feeling of not being in control of your own. But part of me feels there might be some truth in that things are kind of laid out, and free will might be an illusion that the brain creates. But like your journey is what it is, and it's about acceptance and finding inner peace and calm and just being at one with what happens. Which is easier said than done. Like I'm speaking like I'm some guru. I'm not. I'm still learning every day of how to deal with stuff, even small things. So it's like, I don't know, but I'm much more calmer as a person now, and like, take my time with things a bit more, and like I don't rush or like, it's very easy to blame things as well. Like when things go wrong, I don't think I really did this when I was younger. I probably did. But like blaming someone else or something for that, something going wrong, whatever it is, not taking ownership of it is number one. And just accepting, how things will happen. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get moving. Like, I think it's a hard thing to swallow. Like if someone was, doing something, the high end sport, it's really crippling at the time. I don't think you can escape that because you put so much into it. So you can't limit that to saying, oh, just fine. Like I said a minute ago, dust yourself off and move on. At the time when that's going on, it's your life. Mm-hmm. And you put so much into something, and then for it not to work out for whatever reason, I think you have to go through that. You have to go through the feelings of whatever it is, failure, not being good enough or something else, whatever it might be. You have to work through those, but don't bottle it because it will come out eventually. Like I've found that with a lot of things, and I'm very guilty of this over years and years of bottling things up and not letting them out. And then once you do that though and let stuff out, you start to, you never fully forget things, but you compartmentalize them and put them in small boxes back there. They're always there, but they're not who you are anymore. It's kind of just a part of you that you accept and move on. I think that's really important, to deal with things in a way that, you just work through them. Like, or why did this happen? Or, maybe it was this, maybe this. Okay, well, I can accept that. And you just, I don't know, it's a journey that you just, so I feel now I'm like calm with stuff, but maybe kids has made me calm. I don't know. I feel it's made me more stressed, kids, but they definitely give you a different perspective on stuff.
And when you look forward, like what's where you going moving forward? Like what's kind of exciting you now, or like what you feel like you're chasing? I mean, obviously it sounds like meaning is kind of like the core thing that you chase, but
I mean, like being 40 this year, I'm like, I really want Moab to work out this year because I've had like my eye on it for well over a year now and trained up to it and then had to defer. So I'm like, I would really love to do that. I mean, so many things float through my mind. Like when I was younger, so I want to climb an 8,000 meter or 30,000 foot peak. I'm terrible at climbing. Like, so I don't.
You mean like actually climbing or like?
Well, like an Everest or
wow.
One of the four. Yeah, which I'm terrible at climbing. If you get me up, I was speaking to an ice climber last year and like watching him, like it was at Cascade. I think I was like, this is incredible. He come back down and stuff. I was just chatting with him and he was like, oh, do you into this? I was like, no, you couldn't get me up there. He's like, so what do you do? I was like, well, I, run mountain ranges. He's like, oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, you've just climbed with pickaxes up a frozen waterfall. I'm like, it's funny how the perception of what someone else thinks is. Yeah. And I'm terrible with climbing, so I don't think an 8,000 meter peak would be good for me. Like, technically, I can't climb.
At least you're humble enough to admit that.
Yeah, I think I am. Like, heights, everyone says, oh, is it a thing you're scared of heights? I'm like, I don't know if it is because I've bungee jumped and skydived and stuff like that on quite high ones. So I'm like, and I love that energy, that free fall, that almost flight of bungee jumping. But then if I'm on top of something very, very sketchy, like a mountain ridge line or something, sometimes I can get a bit shaky. So I don't know if it's heights or just my ability to, climb. I think that's more what it is. But yeah, I think I'm just going to, there's so many things I could create around here, and me and Andrew like looking at different routes and things, but it's just more of that. I think just more connection. There will be races that I'll want to do. I would love to so I'm going to do, it's kind of a bit of round circle. I'm going to do the Canmore half marathon this year. It's a very flat half marathon. I didn't
really had one.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I should have known that.
It's all good. But it's like, it's very flat. Obviously we're at a higher elevation, but I'm like, this year would be quite a nice year to see like how that journey from all the half marathons early on in like 20s or whatever to come back. And I haven't done one since at all, to do a road half marathon and train for it properly and see where I get like time wise. So I'm going to do that. I did the Grizzly Ultra last year, but that was a mess.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
How come?
I just pulled out. I say pulled out. I injured my leg on lap 6. So
of 8?
There was not 6. Hang on, how many laps was there? I'm trying to think now. Was it 8 laps? When
that may be wrong, but I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
I've never done it.
So it was 5.
I thought it was 8.
It might be 10. Oh, it was 8. It was 8 because like on the Saturday it was like 20 degrees or 18 degrees.
Yeah,
sunny,
and then
the Sunday it was like city temperatures and like a foot of snow. So they had to change the whole course. They did a great job, really great job. And then, yeah, we ended up doing laps. I was flying, doing really well. And then, yeah, I did my leg slipping on one of the laps, like second to last lap, whatever. And then I didn't get mild hypothermia, but as I come in, like Andrew's partner and others were there and stuff, and it was just like, I couldn't even hold the drink of hot drink and stuff. So I went to walk the last lap. Yeah, it was the second to last lap, walk the last lap. And then, I couldn't even focus on what was going on. So I just walked back in and like, that was it, game over. But like normally I would have like beat myself on that massively, but I accepted that quite quickly of like, here's what it is. I'm like, I have a personal thing of calling a 50k an ultra, which is a touchy subject.
That is though. Anything over a marathon's an ultra. Is that not technically the...
It probably is.
I mean, in this area, I could understand that people would be...
I'm like, it's just my own personal, and this is probably wrong, but I'm like, for me, it starts at like 50 miles. I don't know why that is. It's probably, it's just a personal, but it's still it is an ultra. The 50k, I get it. It's like, but I just have this weird personal thing of like calling, it should be fit, but that's just me being stupid and silly. But it's a great, like, right. And that, how they put that on the Sunday with everything that was going on, like, obviously changed the course. So I think this year, do that again. And it's like a bit of I like redemptions, like with the Isle of Skye and doing that on twice. I think it was 80 miles, 100. I can't remember now. It was either 80 or 100. But then, yeah, doing that twice and going back and having redemption was like such a nice thing. I like completing stuff and having that, because otherwise it's unfinished business, and the Grizzly Ultra's a little bit like that, I think, for me this year. But yeah, just keep exploring. I'll do a lot more. I think the meditation side, reading about vision quests that people used to do here, where they go up on top of mountains and they can sit for like 2 or 3 days. They just sit, no food, just water or whatever. Those kind of experiences, I think, are really what I'm going to be chasing more and more. And yeah, not get attacked by grizzlies. Just be like,
not die in the mountains.
Yeah.
Do something crazy, but not like...
Well, this is what I said to Andrew, like, you could do a 100-mile race here. I was like, but how many things are you going to run by? Like, there's a lot of things to bear in mind. Whereas, like, when you're in Europe and stuff, it's like, there's not really much.
There's not much,
you have to worry about, especially in the UK, it's like a fox or a deer.
Showing stupidity, really, that'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's, chasing more of that. I think it'd be cool.
Well, look, Matt, I appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me.
Thank you so much.
Like, honestly, I think, I've resonated like a lot with what you're saying, and I think when I was asking you why meaning is so important to you, it's because it's the same for me, and I think I am someone who definitely chases like calm moments and peaceful moments, and maybe I cause my own drama from time to time, but I definitely resonate with you. So I appreciate you sitting down with me this morning.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's been super fun.